everyone. Welcome to New York Comic Con. I'm Phil with the Comics Pals, and joining me is the great and talented artist, Mr. Yanick Paquette. How you doing?
I'm good, and you guys?
Yeah. I'm all right. How's the convention been so far for you?
Well, it's always exhausting. I'm taking convention now as a form of sport, like extreme sport, where I need to draw and sign and stay up late to do sketches for fans and stuff. So it's fun, but it is exhausting. And plus, they changed the venue now. It's the same amount of tables, same amount of artists, when it's smaller spot. So everything is more cramped. So it's good enough.
With commissions, have you had any unusual requests or notable requests so far?
Nothing too crazy, I would say. I got to draw a few characters I'd never drawn before. Like I did the Mad Hatter, never did that, guys. Now I did, but nothing too like peculiar or like wrong or weird. Sometimes you'll get once in a while somebody requesting something which is like slippery a little, but not this time.
Of course, promoting this weekend, Wonder Woman Earth 1, Volume 1, which came out a little over a year ago. Yep. Volume 2, what could you tell us about Volume 2? Is there anything that you could tell us so far?
The idea, the Volume 1 was really just an origin story. We wanted to not only create an origin for her, but also showing the world, well, these are the parameter, the moral world in which we're going to evolve. But with the second volume and the third volume after that, we're going into the story per se. She's trying to get our message across in the man's world, in the regular world. It doesn't quite work, and I would say that the second volume is a bit darker, and it's probably going to be a lot darker. I think Grant mentioned that the idea of it is to make it the Empire Strikes Back of the trilogy of the book, where we'll even get some sort of big, massive drama at the end of the second one, and so the third one could be the big, heroic, redeeming thing, like in Star Wars. I mean, it's a Star Wars type structure, I would say.
Wonder Woman is well over 75 years old. One of the most impactful characters in the entire medium in the art form. Different interpretations. What do you feel like is your legacy on the character in wake of her perhaps resurging popularity with the movie coming out recently?
Well, the genius of Grant and the daringness of it was to go back to the origin and to try to explore and think about these early issues, the Molston stuff, which, I mean, if you read that stuff, it's just mind-blowingly weird. It's bizarre. Every page is about bondage, and you can see inside that guy that, well, there was some sort of fetishism going on, but also a proto-feminism, like emerging feminism, in which it would grant the idea that, well, if we all as manhood submit to the will of woman, we'll probably live in a better world and stuff like that. So these are like crazy, weird feminist idea inside of the 40 structure, but all of this kind of got like expurged, I would say, from the character after the 60s when she became an official feminist icon, and all these weird sexual strange thing they totally disappeared. And as you look at Wonder Woman today, which is a great version, I really like the film, she's more a proper superhero. I mean, she's a woman, but in terms of the narrative of it, she's not different from Batman and Superman, in a way. While if you look at the original Wonder Woman, it's barely a superhero book. It's closer to Alice in Wonderland type weird things. And Grant is trying to recapture some of it. And you might think, well, it's going back. But it is something legit because that's the creation. I love the fact that comic character can have many, many versions. And some version feels more definite than other. And we're not trying to do like this is Wonder Woman, like the definite version. But if we're going to work on something, we'll try to figure out something new, something worth doing that has not have been done before. And because the past is forgotten somehow, because it's almost a hot potato, what to do with this? It's so weird. I guess Grant just couldn't resist to go back in there and get into trouble.
Dig in the rich tapestry and get everything he can out of there.
Yeah, and I mean, Grant is such a scholar of that stuff, and when we started to do the book, the first thing I did is read like the first, I don't know, 5 years of Wonder Woman and all these weird stories.
When you designed your interpretation of Wonder Woman, what did you draw from? What was your inspiration for her?
Well, in terms of the costume, you mean?
In her physical appearance,
In
too.
general, well, for the costume, my main objective was to create a costume which was less American flaggy, Not because I got nothing against the American flag, but I didn't understand why, as a Canadian, for instance, that such a rich Greek character would not dealt on its own culture to create a costume, and why it became. And I understand in the context of the 40s that it was almost propaganda for the the military in a way. She's fighting the Nazi and then the Japanese at some point, and she's wearing an American flag. So this is all part of the war effort almost. But in today's context, I mean, she doesn't need that. So, but we've reached a point where the color scheme and the star sprinkled panties are already associated to Wonder Woman, and this is the way you recognize her. So I've trying to find a way of making it instantly recognizable, yet not American, which I've just added a few pointed to the star. Just added a few, because the American flag, I'm getting your cameraman working a little.
Yeah,
he was
talking,
just staring. Work, man. So yeah, the on the flag it's a 5-pointed star,
Right.
and I went online trying to find the oldest stars I could find, like from antiquity, from Roman time, from Greek time, and actually it's only starting to appear in art at the beginning of the Roman Christian era, where they would try to depict the star of Bethlehem. And it would be like a star with a million, almost a little sun kind of thing. And so I just added a few, just another spike to it, make it look like a star but less American. And for the physicality of it, I don't know, I've always kind of drawn a woman, I would say maybe more fleshier than the American superhero idiom of it. In the case of Wonder Woman, I felt like, well, she got to be strong, yet sensual. Because we were doing this stuff from the 40s where sensuality is everywhere. I mean, it's not even an undertone. It's like on the surface. I wanted to capture some of that erotism slightly into I've mostly been exposed to European comic book growing up, and I guess they have less problem with sexuality, but they approach it in a sensual way instead of a pornographic kind of. And I guess it's transpire a little, maybe.
In what way do you figure your interpretation of Wonder Woman is? She's a very inspirational character. In what way do you seek to impart inspiration onto your readers?
Well, I don't know if I would go that far. I mean, what we do is really exploring the possibility of that character. I mean, compared to Batman, I mean, especially these days at DC, we're doing DC Metal,
right.
And we're going all over the place with Batman, where we are exploring every angle and reverse and inside out of the character. In the case of Wonder Woman, for some reason, she has not been dissected to that degree. And I think the reason for it is that, by opposition to Batman, Wonder Woman is more than just a franchise for DC. She's more than just a character. She's an icon of feminism and femininity in general. I mean, if you do a terrible Batman story, you don't get the orphan of America on your back. So yeah, you did a bad story, and he's an orphan. I'm an orphan. What the hell? But with Wonder Woman, I mean, if you do something that doesn't work or seem too provocative, it's almost like if you're passing judgment on womanhood, in general, and that make experimentation with that character very static. People don't really dare go there. But of course, Grant is just has no fear, and so I don't know. I mean, in terms of what we want to convey in terms of message to it. I'm a French Canadian, so I guess I come with a different understanding of sexuality, or a much more open-minded. Yeah, even though the feminism is, I'm looking at what's going on in the States, but other place in the world where feminism has made obvious progress from the 60s and the 50s. I mean, they have more access. Women has now access to work and studies and all that's good. But they don't quite own their own sexuality, and as they're not allowed to choose for themselves that much. And as an example, just a thought process that I like to put out there in order to make that more clear. If you take Iron Man, Tony Stark, he can't. Even in the film or in the comic, he's like this playboy type dude, and he got a new top model in his bed every night, and it's consensual. It's no problem with anything, and you see where I'm going with this. Yeah. And nobody really judged him for this. I mean, all right, he's maybe emotionally a bit dependent, and is this like the most healthy lifestyle? Maybe not. But I mean, he's Iron Man. He has the choice to, the right to choose whatever he wants. But if you just put one woman, just reverse the genre, and one woman can easily get a male model, a different one every night. Yeah. And it's going to be great. It's going to be consensual. She's going to go saving the world, and he's going to take a coffee and then take a cab back home in the morning. Yeah. That will sound unacceptable for a lot of people. And it's just to show you that woman's sexuality is very harshly judged. Yeah. You're either the mom-loving, like Virgin Mary type woman, or if you profess a sexual appetite, you're suddenly like a whore or something. It's very extreme. There's nothing in the middle. And I find this a bit surprising and sad. I'm not saying that in Montreal or in Canada we have reached an equilibrium on that front, like a perfect one, but we did some progress on that level. But yeah, sexuality is such a taboo, and to go back to Wonder Woman in the 40s where the sexuality was already over the top everywhere, and I mean, we're not doing porn or anything, we're just exploring some of those themes, and in a healthy, open-minded way, and we're also creating it. I mean, Malmstrom was doing weird stuff. We're not like endorsing all of it. We're like putting it to the test, and sometimes our judgment fall on, but that doesn't quite work, or this thing is like ambiguous, or there's some contradiction in it. So, but we're not scared of talking about it and exploring it.
It's funny because in a previous interview with Grant talking about the book, he said something to the effect that he always felt like women are always on trial, which is a big theme of the first volume, that no matter what aspect of life, they're always being evaluated. Yeah. I didn't really have anywhere to go with that. That was just a train of thought.
It just kind of makes sense. But it kind of.
I was just associating it with what you said.
Yeah, it's a good add-on. Yeah. It's a good point.
My other question is, with Wonder Woman as a paradigm figure and so recognizable in her iconography, how do you feel? How would you compare and contrast her as a role model at large to like a real life role model? How effective and influential do you think she is?
I don't know. When she got introduced to the UN, as an ambassador, it's been like a big, oh no, what's this? How come we're not getting like a real person? Yeah, exactly. And honestly, at first I thought, why not? Why can't we not getting like somebody that exists? Why go fictional? It turned out that in fact there's been a lot of fictional character introduced, that had this ambassador like position, like a bunch of them. And the main problem is that Wonder Woman is dressed too sexy, I guess, for some. But I don't know. I've watched the movie at a premiere in Montreal, and I was looking at a little girl like going mad and crazy, like yay! Like after the movie, like jumping around, being Wonder Woman. I don't know. I think that's what we want, what we need, and that she's getting that sort of exposure, and just the little girls, they need something strong and that is universally recognized as an important and great character.
She's a paradigm.
Yeah, she is.
Is there anything else you'd like to promote while we're here?
No.
Fair enough.
I mean, my we're doing 2 more volumes of it. So my entire adult life is now dedicated to Grant Morrison. I'm still doing some covers for DC. Yeah, I'm still doing covers for DC. I just did actually this month. I did a 10-page of Batman Lost for Scott. I love Grant, but by doing these massive projects, I can't work with all of the other guys I like, because I want to work with Tom King on something. I want to work with Scott again, but as I see in the future, it's all Grant Morrison, which I can't complain. I won't complain working with Grant. I love him, but because these massive projects are so vast, so many pages, it's so intense. That's all I see for the foreseeable future.
I'd love to see you work with Tom King. That would be so fantastic.
I think we both want to do something eventually, and it's going to happen.
Oh, that's exciting. Thank you so much for your time, Mr. Paquette.
Right. You take care, man.
I'm Phil with the Comics Pals here at New York Comic Con. Take care. Make sure you check out all our social media and our podcast. Until next time.